Welcome in, everyone, to the Talkin' Kentucky postgame show. A little bit later than I thought it was going to be, as the Cats are 1-0. They shut out Southern Miss 31-0 in a bit of a weird fashion that we'll talk about here. But I'm joined by Brad Harvey tonight of College Sportscast. This is our first Talking Kentucky and College Sportscast collab post-game show for the 2024 season. And Brad, I knew it was going to be on here with you tonight. I didn't know it would be at this hour, this late.
It's been a long night.
Brad, what a weird day. I mean, we were just talking before the show, man. I mean,
it's been a long night. It's been a weird night. We really only got about a half of football. Really is about all we got. Just a little bit over 5 minutes over a half of football. So stat wise and stuff, I mean, it's kind of incomplete, really. I mean, you don't really get to see exactly, but we did see some. So we do have a little bit to go on, I guess. But a 31-0, the shutout. I think this is the first time Kentucky's had an opening shutout since 1993. I believe that's right.
I don't care if it was 3 quarters, right? A shutout's a shutout. So, I'll
it's
take
the
it
first
every way
time
I can
they've had
get
a
it.
shutout in an opening game, I'm pretty sure, since 1993.
That's awesome. And like I said, Brad, I'll take a shutout in any fashion, any day of the week, twice on Sunday. Yeah, man. I mean, it really was a great defense by the a great defense by the performance. See, I'm already tired, Brad, but it was a great performance by the defense and a great defense by the performance. It was awesome, Brad. So I thought so they gave up a couple big third downs at the beginning. We'll talk about that, but when you have a goose egg on the other end, that's a job well done. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like, they come out, they played great. I think what we did get to see, I feel like the defense, of course, when you get a shutout here, I mean, through 2 and partial quarters here, I feel like the defense is doing its job. We can get into the defense here pretty quick if you want to, because there were some players that I wanted to kind of talk about. But offensively, I feel like we've seen what could be the makings of a very good offense. I mean, it was incomplete, so it's hard to
know, right?
It's hard to tell exactly.
Well, first of all, we think the game's going to kick off at 6:45 Central Time, 7:45 Eastern Time there. Then, Brad, you texted me right before the game. You're like, it might be delayed a few minutes. Well, it ended up being delayed like 2.5 hours, right?
Yeah.
And what normally would have been like the third quarter was when kickoff was.
Or possibly even the fourth quarter, 2.5 hours. I mean, it might have been starting the fourth quarter.
That's true.
Yeah.
I was worried, Brad, that I wouldn't have my brats grilled. I wouldn't have my brats off the grill by the time kickoff started. And turns out I'd already finished dinner. I did the dishes and everything before kickoff. So,
right.
that's what ended up happening.
Yeah, time for all that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Had plenty of time for all that. I was ready for bed by the time kickoff rolled around. But yeah, we had that going. And you said you wanted to get into the defense a little bit. Let's talk about your boy that got that you mentioned on Thursday night, right? That got the interception on the play.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the play that Jamin Dumas-Johnson made on that, I mean, he did it all by himself. He was leaning back, made the tip, batted it to himself. I mean, leaning, it was a great play. It just showed you his athletic ability and what kind of player he is. He also made a couple of other stops in the game. And I thought he showed out really well. Of course, Deion Walker was taking double teams. It seemed like every snap. But in the middle there on the defensive line, I mean, we seen Kendrick Gilbert make a play. We seen Saunders make a play, pushing the whole line back. We seen what's the other one? Silver.
Yeah. Keyshawn
Silver.
Yeah.
Yeah. We seen Silver make a play on that defensive line. JJ Weaver come off with a sack and had a tackle for loss. We had 2 interceptions. Pop Johnson got one of those. And then the other one was, who got the other interception?
It was Hardaway.
Hardaway.
Is that right?
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was JQ Hardaway, one of the cornerbacks. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Got the other interception. So, in a short game to come up with 2 interceptions to win the turnover battle 2-1, because we had a batted ball that was turned over as well. But I was really, really pleased with the way the defense looked. It's just a shame we didn't get to finish the game, but other than that, I was really pleased with it.
It feels like right when we were firing all cylinders is when we had another lightning strike within 1,000 miles of the stadium, and we had to send everybody to the locker room. So that wasn't great. And I get it, safety first and everything, but you had the weather delays. Then you had the whole, like, ESPN had to send their camera crews home, and they had to use the camera from the press box.
Oh gosh! And everybody online is making memes and making comments. I seen, and I'm going to throw his name out there because he was terrible all night long. I mean, through the wait and everything. Matt Jones is who I'm fixing to mention, but he was terrible all night long. He was basically whining that his post game was going to be at 2 a.m., 2:30 a.m., blah, blah, blah. Anyways, during where they were playing and the camera angle was like way up at the top of the stadium, he made a comment and said that the SEC Network's camera angle was in Versailles.
Yeah, I liked that. I liked that comment.
And I actually thought that one was kind of funny.
Yeah, that was good. Mike Dowd brings up a good point here, and I know it's only 3 quarters still, but Southern Miss only had 5 yards rushing the whole game, Brad. That's
impressive. I told y'all the defense was fantastic. I know that everybody's going to want to talk about the offense, but the defense was fantastic. I mean, of course, I don't even think that Southern Miss got the ball in the second half, did they?
I don't think so. No.
Did they start out with the ball? Yeah, they did. They started out with the ball.
Didn't feel like they had the ball. Didn't feel like they did very long
because
anyway.
we had the ball first. So they started out with the ball. They did have one possession in the second half, I guess. But for one possession in the second half and the first half, this defense really played well. Now, Southern Miss is not a great team.
Clearly, yep.
But they did get a quarterback, and their quarterback was halfway decent.
They had they had at least some talent on the receiving core, too.
They do. They have some talent in the receiving core as well. Now, their running game wasn't much. Mike's right on that. The quarterback is transfer from Florida State, who started against Louisville in the ACC championship game last year, and beat Louisville in the ACC championship game last year. So,
and Mike was worried about the O-line on Thursday night. He comes back tonight and says O-line played awesome. Brad, you're right. Right. That experience seems to translate. Now, I know it's only one game. I know it's Southern Miss, but that experience seems to pay off for us.
Yeah. I mean, you talking about running the ball. We ran the ball really, really well with 3 minutes to go in the first half. And I don't know the final numbers, but with 3 minutes to go in the first half, we had 141 rushing yards in the first.
Let's
half.
not forget we don't have our starting running back, right? We're going down the depth chart a little bit, and we're still able to run the ball at will.
It was running back by committee. I mean, you had running plays for Brock Vandegrift. He had some, and then Demi Sumo what's his name? Car something.
Yeah, DSK. Yeah, that's the easiest
DSK.
thing to say.
He led us. I think he had around 60 yards, something like that. And then the redshirt freshman Patterson come in and had a few nice runs, and Wilcox as well, the redshirt freshman and the freshman. So, it was a running back by committee, but 141 yards before halftime is a pretty good, running game.
And we'll talk more about this in a minute, but John Cornett in the comments here says, "Go Cats, South Carolina struggled. I'm ready for this game." South Carolina, not a good football team, Brad. They looked bad today. So
no, they actually looked really bad. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. Southern Miss is just as good as they are, I think. I mean, I really feel like that we should blow South Carolina out.
We should. We absolutely. I mean, I was a little worried for that game because at first, they beat us 3 years in a row. And I'm like, man, the pressure's going to be on us. Like, that's going to be
2 years in a row. Let's not make it worse than it actually is, because it leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
That's true. Yeah, it is. It is too. Well, yeah, I won't jinx us then.
It makes a bad taste in my mouth.
Oh, it absolutely does. But yeah, man, like, we can't lose to them 3 years in a row, and I don't think we're going to after that performance today. I thought Old Dominion had them there for a minute. Looked like they were actually going to lose.
They had a lead in the fourth quarter, 19-16, with about 10 minutes to go. And of course, they did score a touchdown and won 23-19. At the end, they pulled it out. They got the victory. But I thought it was really funny. I mean, Shane Beamer was livid even at the end when they were winning. There was a minute left and they were running out the clock to win the game, and he was still screaming and hollering at all of his players, and he was livid.
Claude in the comments there too says Florida looked bad too. That's a whole nother level of bad, man. But you know who did look bad? Vandy. How about the Doors getting the win?
Absolutely. We've got to talk about Vandy.
We got to talk about Vanderbilt, man.
They looked like Virginia Tech is a legit decent team. I'm not saying they are killers or nothing, okay? But they are a legit decent team that is likely to be in the upper half of the ACC when the final standings. So for them to be a 13.5-point underdog at their own house. Now, Vandy had an up and down day. They started out 17-0. They let them come all the way back and take a fourth quarter lead, 27-20. But you got to give Vandy credit. Even after they came back and scored that touchdown, they missed a field goal to win it. And they didn't get down over that after giving up the lead in the fourth quarter. It was a really impressive win by Vanderbilt. And you have to give your hats off, tip your cap, whatever, to Clark Lee and the Commodores today.
Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about some highlights here, and we'll kind of talk about the offense a little bit along with that here. But yeah, let's look at some highlights. First of all, you had Brock Vandegrift's first touchdown to Barian Brown, which of course was a highlight. I don't have that clip here, but Brad, that was certainly a moment that you probably could have predicted, right? Brock Vandegrift.
It was a good play in this.
Yeah.
In that play, it was designed to go somewhere else, and Barian Brown was actually his third read, and he had to move the pocket and go over top of a defender and drop it down in the pocket where Barian Brown was. And it was actually a very good read, going through his progressions and moving the pocket and dropping in a very good pass that Barian caught in the end zone for the first score of the season. And I think he scored the first score of the season in a kickoff return last year, I believe.
I think you're right about that. You got the good.
I think it's 2 years in a row. Barian Brown has scored the first touchdown of the season. I'm pretty sure.
Hey, I wouldn't be surprised. But the other member of that, kind of wide receiver duo we got going this year for returners, we had Barian Brown and Dane Key, and Brock Vandegrift threw quite a nice ball to Dane there in the first half. Wanted to roll that clip here.
Inside the pocket, making his reads. One interception, one near interception.
Play action. Deep ball caught by Dane Key, and some running room up the sideline. 35-yard pickup.
Exactly what I'm talking about. A play action. It's really.
And that's the kind of accuracy I want to see from him this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not only that, the throw, but you get the run after the catch. He was in stride, so, you get the run after the catch, and he breaks it out to a 34, 35-yard gain there. And, whenever you can get big chunk plays like that, it's always helpful.
Mike says, Coleman, I think I see a lightning strike in your background back there. Yeah. Mike, that's funny. I wouldn't be surprised if there's any back there.
Yeah, Coleman's going to have to leave for a little while, for 30 minutes.
Yeah, we're going to have to delay the show here. Yeah. Pod brings up a hot take here. I actually said this earlier in the day. Kind of people thought I was crazy, but Georgia didn't look that impressive, honestly. I mean, as the game went on, they started clicking, but at first, Brad,
I think they did in the second half. And their defense is excellent, so you can't say anything about that. So, well,
their defense is excellent, but offensively, I think they're taking quite a step back from last year.
Well, I mean, they lost a lot of playmakers, so I figured they would be, but Beck threw to 9 different receivers today, tight ends and receivers. So I'd say they're filling out their offense a little bit. I don't predict that in game 10, they're going to be throwing to 9 different receivers. This is game 1. I think they're trying to fill out their offense after losing Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey. And, I think they're, trying to get a feel of who they have, that's going to be their playmakers on offense. So, like I said, he threw to 9 different receivers today. I don't think he will do that down the road. He might hear the first 2 or 3 weeks, and maybe Kentucky can catch him, before they really start clicking, maybe, hopefully.
Hey, later in that drive, after Brock completed the pass to Dane Key, DSK, as we'll call him, ran it in for the touchdown.
Sumo Kongbe straight ahead and in. Touchdown, Kentucky. Right at Cole Cuban.
Yeah, you know what I liked about that play, and they done it a couple of other times at the goal post, or within first and goal, second and goal. They done it a couple of times down there. They huddled, but when they left the huddle, they did a hurry up. They run up to the line and snapped it real quick. And it kind of caught the defense off guard. And they done that like 3 times tonight. And on that play, that was one of the things that they did. They ran up to the line real quick and just snapped it. And I think it caught the defense off guard.
Jared Wells in the comments. Good to see you back this year, Jared. Remember, you were in here quite a bit last year. He says, this is the year we got to start beating some teams with winning records, now or never. Also, Georgia under Smart has had a history of looking bad in offense early. That's very true. Even last year. Yeah,
everything absolutely. You said, 100%. I agree with everything you said.
Yeah, and the schedule is always going to be tough, right? We're always going to have to play the Georgias and the Ole Misses and the Texas, right? So we're just going to have to start beating these teams. We can't just say, oh, we got a hard schedule this year, because that's how it's going to be every year.
Everybody has a hard schedule in the SEC, except, honestly, there's a couple of teams that I think have it a little easier than rest of us, but for the most part, just about everybody's going to have a tough schedule in the SEC.
Hey, keep the comments going down there, guys. We appreciate those, and let us know you're here. So definitely throw a comment in the chat down there. We had another Berrien Brown touchdown, Brad. He had 2 on the day. He ran a little jet. He had a little
another jet sweep here.
Yeah, we had a little jet sweep. Yeah, we had quite a few jet sweeps tonight. At first, Brad and I were texting in the first quarter, and Brad's like, "I'm not liking these play calls. It's too many jet sweeps." And
I said I'm not liking them. And he said, "Well, it's a faster pace, and I kind of like it so far." And I said, "Well, how many jet sweeps could you have in the first quarter? I mean,
well,
come on.
I was kind of thinking, I like jet sweeps. I'm a jet sweep fan. College football 25. That's one of my go-to plays.
Lord have mercy. I think they called overall. I bet you tonight. I bet they called 12 jet sweeps.
Yeah, I was going to say after the 70th jet sweep, I kind of threw the challenge flag there. But
I was like, man, is that all they're going to like? Every other play was a jet sweep in the first quarter. I was like, what?
But hey, if it works, it works, and it worked in this case with Berrien Brown.
They're going quickly. Little touch pass. Berrien Brown to the outside into the end zone. Touchdown, Berrien Brown, a 12-yard catch and run.
Touchdown, Kentucky.
And I do like the Berrien Brown dances in the end zones. He's got some of the best touchdown celebrations for sure. Man, that guy's he's
told
fast,
you he's
man.
electric. He's fast. He's electric. I love watching him play. And Kentucky fans, you better enjoy watching him this year because more than likely he is out of here after this season.
Yeah, he's a cheat code, and we need him. Macklin, though, dude, we didn't get to see him.
Man, we've got to talk about Jeremy Macklin. He didn't get a lot of catches. But I'm going to tell you guys what little bit we really got to see tonight. Macklin is going to be a player. I think him and Brock are going he's got 3 guys that are NFL type receivers, just to be honest with you, to throw to. So it's going to be really fun. Jeremy Macklin is another one. Now after those 3, Fred Ferrier caught a pass or 2 tonight. I did not see Anthony Brown-Stevens. Did you?
I didn't see Brown-Stevens. No,
did you see him on the field tonight? Because I didn't see him.
I didn't see him either, and that kind of surprised me. I mean,
I was a little bit surprised by that. Now, Josh Caddis was out. That's the reason why we didn't see him.
Right.
The tight end, Josh Caddis.
Yeah,
he was. Right. He didn't practice on Thursday, and he was a game time decision, and he was out after after the delay and everything. I don't think they thought he could get warmed back up after trying to being injured a little bit.
But going back to Macklin, man, I mean, he's going to be a threat for us this year. He's going to be somebody that
absolutely, and he can catch the ball like he he just has good moves and can break free. And Macklin is going to be a fantastic player, a punt returner as well for us this year. Now, there was one punt return where he ran around and went back about 7 yards. He wound up getting like 6 yards out of it. But, I mean, I don't like the whole backing up. We need to go this way, not that way. I don't like the whole backing up stuff.
Not east to west. Yeah, we need to go north-south. But
I don't no, it's south. Like he was literally backing up. Now, like I said, he did make some guys miss, and he has that kind of talent. And for me personally, I'd rather see him make a guy miss and go forward just as quick as he can.
Jared says, nice to see an up-tempo modern offense running more of a power spread where we can still be physical along with explosive in the pass game. We were running on average under 60 plays a game for the last few years. Rough to win that way this day and age.
55 last year, Jared. We were the slowest offense in the nation. I think there was one team that was worse than us. That was a little bitty tiny school somewhere.
Do we know how many we had tonight? Just in the
I do not, but I would love to see. I mean, we only played 5 minutes in the third quarter, so I'd love to see exactly how many plays we got and just kind of average it out. But I'm going to guess that it would probably be in the 70s range. If full game, probably would be a guess.
Somewhere around there. Yeah, I love it. If anybody has that stat, throw it in the comments down there. John Hammond says, Brad, are you awake?
John, are you awake?
Mike says, who misses Cohen? I don't miss the 55, 60 plays a game, Mike. That's for
I
sure.
don't miss the drama. I'm serious.
Yeah.
I don't miss the drama, and I sure don't miss that pace. Now, the Will Levis year, I thought Cohen was really good, but last year, I don't miss that pace at all.
John saying Johnson at LB stud. Absolutely. Yep.
All right, I kind of opened the show and talked about Pop Johnson.
Yep.
On the show here, guys, I'm just going to continue to call him Pop Johnson. That is his nickname, Pop. That's the way he plays. And he's kind of an older spokesman and, on the team and that kind of stuff as well. Got 2 national titles at Georgia. I love his play. I think he can be an All-American for us, just like he was for Georgia in 2022.
Hey, and speaking of Macklin, that we were talking about just a second ago, this is one highlight that he had tonight. We're probably going to see a lot more of this year. He's a deep threat. He was a deep threat at UNT, and he's going to continue to be that this year in the SEC.
I think college should go to spot a foul on PI. I think so. Down the sideline. Great adjustment to the ball when it was in the air by Jamori Macklin and the St. Louis native.
One thing for sure about that play,
it
was such a good play because that was a go route, okay? And normally go routes are thrown to the outside, to the sidelines, all right? And you hardly ever see a go route thrown to the inside, but it was such a good play because Brock, seeing that the defensive back was on the outside. So the inside is what was open, and he actually threw that to the inside shoulder, and Macklin made a heck of a play on it. No, basically not normally turning that way on a go route. He made a heck of a play.
That's another thing that Mark Stoops talks about, that he's impressed with Vandergriff, is his ability to see the entire field, right?
He had to notice that the defender was on the outside because that's not a play you normally see thrown to the inside. Yeah. Most of the time on go routes, they're thrown to the sidelines, and everybody who knows football knows that. But that play, Brock actually seen it and threw it to the inside, and then Macklin, talking about how good he is, actually was able to make a play over his inside shoulder on a go route.
On Thursday night, Brad, we were talking about Bush Hamden's ability to bring some balance to an offense, and I think we saw that tonight.
It was so good to see. Like, not only, we've all been worried as Kentucky fans. We've all been worried all off season, to be honest with you. Like, we didn't know exactly what Chip was going to bring as a running back. I mean, he only had 373 yards last year at Ohio State. He is, transferring from Ohio State and was a second or third running back for Ohio State last year. So he has the talent, but, do we know he's going to come in here and average, get 1,000 yards in rushing? No. And then he winds up getting hurt before the season. And we've all been kind of worried about the running game. And it was just so good to see that even by committee and the jet sweeps, I'm going to throw those in there too. But it was really good to see the commitment to the run game.
And hey, don't want to get too ahead of ourselves too early. We got to take care of South Carolina. But John, who said he's going to be at the Georgia game, is saying, remember me saying we will upset Georgia. We will start 3-0. That'd be a heck of an upset, Brad.
Yeah, man, I can't, John. I can't go there. I'm sorry, diehard fan here, but there are a few teams here this year that I am just not going to go over with, and I can't get there. Now, if we do get that win, then I'm going to hop on the train. I'll be like, if we can beat Georgia, we can beat anybody.
We can beat anybody, yeah. Well, that's what's so exciting about it. You get them at home.
I did watch Texas today.
Texas look good, and let's not forget.
I'm serious, guys. They look, and Colorado State's they're not a
bad team.
They're not a terrible team. I mean, honestly, I'm going to tell y'all, Texas looked good.
I was going to say, let's not forget, Ole Miss won 76-0 today. I know it's
Ole Miss
Furman, but still, you put up 76 on anybody. Yeah. Okay, Jared says Tennessee looked good today too. I hate UT, but it is what it is. Now their quarterback did look good. It sucks to say, Brad, but yeah, they look like a high-powered
Ole
offense.
Miss and Tennessee both played FCS teams today.
Yeah.
Furman and Chattanooga are FCS teams. Now they're ranked in the FCS, but they're 9th and 13th. They're not 1, 2, or 3. So let's hold the phone just a bit on Ole Miss and Tennessee. I'm not ready to say that they're going to be playoff contenders right this minute, even after all that. I'm not ready to say that. Now, I watched a good portion of the Texas game today.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell y'all, they're legit. Their defense was hitting people, tackles for loss behind the line. Their offense, they have 4 wide receivers, man, that are just above and beyond. I mean,
I forgot the Alabama kid went there, Isaiah Bond, right?
Bond.
Yeah, man, he's good. He's good, really good. So
Bond.
It's going to be a tough game.
Isaiah Bond.
Yeah. Name's Bond, Isaiah Bond.
If I had that name, that's what I do every time somebody asks me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's what you do. Hey, guys, we're going to go ahead and
shake
open
it,
it
not
up.
stirred.
We're going to go and open it up for a couple calls here. 502-234-1504. If anybody's out there and awake and wants to call in, give us a shout. You know, we're here doing the show. It's 1:20 in the morning Eastern time, 12:20 Central time. So for us, it's not quite as late as those over on the East Coast, Brad, but late nonetheless. So just wanted to throw that out there in case anybody wants to give us a shout. But, one thing I do want to talk about, Brad, I don't want to be negative Nancy, but why are we so bad on third down, Brad? Why can't we get off the field on third down? Seems like that's a historical problem for Kentucky.
I know at halftime they were 3 of 7, I think. Now, I don't know what they wound up because they only had 1 possession, I think. So, but they started out, I'm pretty sure they started out either 2-2 or 3-3. So at the beginning of the game, I know that one drive they hit 2 third downs on us. So you are right. I mean, there was a couple of times where we should have got off the field and didn't on defense,
especially in the first half.
Yeah, that's first quarter. That's probably
first quarter. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the only really complaint that I would have about the defense is early in that game there on third down.
Yeah, no, for sure. Me too.
Yeah.
Are you worried about Brock Vandagriff being the downhill runner that he was tonight? Going ahead and taking some shots and not being afraid, not sliding. Are you worried?
I got a feeling that we won't see that all season. When we get to some of these SEC games, I got a feeling that we won't see that. I mean, I'm not saying he's
going to let him.
I'm not saying he won't run. I'm just saying there'll be some sliding. I would say.
I don't think he slid a single time tonight, did he?
Instead of lowering the shoulder, I mean, this was game 1. First, this is his 4th year in college. This was his first ever start. So, I mean, at the beginning of this game, those hits, those are probably the first real hits that he's had since high school. I mean, live, real game hits where somebody is coming after you. And he just lowered his shoulder and took some guys down. So, it was good to see and bounce back up. Now, there was one time where I thought he kind of got up and kind of left his arm kind of dangling a little bit. And I thought, uh-oh. But then he looked okay after that. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I think he was okay, but there was one time where he kind of took a hit, and I thought, "Uh-oh."
Hey, a shutout's a shutout, and I'll take the win. A lot of people are saying that this is as good as Kentucky football has looked in a first game in a long time. Do you get that sense, Brad? I mean, how do you compare this debut performance to the couple Will Levis years we had, and some of the other even last year with Devin Leary?
I mean, so talent-wise, Will Levis is really, really good. And I've been saying that for 4 years now. All the knocks on him in the NFL and everything that all the people have been saying for the last year and a half, I've been telling people all along that they are going to see he's going to be a star. And he was a star at Kentucky. I really loved Levis is in the Stoops era. He's my second favorite player. There's only one, and that was Josh Allen. That was above Will Levis for me. I know a lot of people like Benny Snell, and my favorite back was Boom Williams. I just loved Boom Williams. I loved his burst, his speed. So that I that was my favorite back. But as far as Will Levis, he was fantastic. Do I think Brock? I'm talking about all that because Brock has the pedigree, the 5-star pedigree that Levis didn't. Okay, so
Right.
You know what I mean. So we're kind of, if you're asking me, do I think on a non-playing level, I think Brock would have an advantage here. You know what I mean? But on the field, and we've seen a little bit of that tonight. I mean, Levis was the type, he would lower his shoulder and run over your butt too.
Yeah, he's like a Tim Tebow kind of guy. Yeah,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
mean, Levis would lower his shoulder, and if he couldn't run over you, he'd jump over you. Levis would. And I don't know if Brock's got that in his bag or not. I'm not sure yet. But I do know Brock can lower his shoulder. He's 6'3", about 220. I mean, he can lower his shoulder and run over a dude if he needs to.
He can, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, breaking news here in the post-game press conference, Brock Vandegrift said despite the late game finish, he will be at church in the morning. So that's a heck of a quarterback right there, Brad. Hey, we're getting a call here, so I'm gonna take this here. You're on with Talking Kentucky. Who's this?
Hey, it's John Cornett.
John Cornett, how's it going? Thanks for calling in.
What's going on, man?
Yeah, I've been watching y'all. So I'm originally from Eastern Kentucky, Whitesburg, Kentucky, but I live, unfortunately, in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Oh no, what a terrible place to live. Oh man.
Yeah, I know.
You got to move, John.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry. They're going to win the national championship down here already. So.
Oh gosh,
man.
in everything.
Gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, man,
they beat Chattanooga. They beat Chattanooga so bad today. They're national champions.
Oh, I know. Yeah, basically, right. Self-proclaimed for sure. But
pretty soon it'll be wait till next year.
Yeah, it was wait till next year. Well, what you got for us, man? Thanks for calling in. What'd you think of the game tonight?
No, I've been watching y'all, and I like your content. Unfortunately, I was at work. I work rotating shifts, so I was at work during the game, but it worked out for the delay tonight. So
yeah, delay worked out in your favor sometime. Yeah,
I think we look good. I mean, obviously there's some issues to clean up, but I definitely after watching South Carolina, we should honestly just take care of business next week with them.
Oh, I don't think. Yeah, we shouldn't have any trouble with South Carolina, but you're going to be in the house for the Georgia game. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's my weekend off. And I'm going back to what I mentioned with LSU back in the day with Andre Woodson.
Yeah.
We're going to shock the nation. We're going to beat Georgia at home.
I remember it well, John.
I remember that game. I was just a little kid, but I had a gut feeling that we were going to pull out that win, and sure enough, we did. So
they were the number one team in the country.
Like we're gonna do it again. So I mean, it's been done before, but well, John, you'll have to pull them through when you go up there. I'm going to be in town for the Vanderbilt game, but it's not quite.
Actually, I'm going to be there too.
Oh, there you go.
Vandy too. Yeah.
Well, okay. Well,
we need to hook up.
Yeah, let's.
I'll holler at you. Yeah.
Yeah, so shoot me a message, and yeah, absolutely, we'd love to meet you and everything, and that'd be great. So, well, thanks for calling in. We really appreciate it, and thanks for watching everything.
I do. You too, man. Have a good night. Hopefully the SEC will do good this year. I do love the SEC. Hopefully do well. I hate Tennessee because I live here, but I still hate Tennessee.
Hey, yeah, that's completely normal of you. So, all righty.
Have a good night. I appreciate it.
You too. All righty. Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
You too.
Good night. That tickles me, man. You have no idea.
Yeah, it's gotta be tough living in Knoxville.
I mean,
man.
you have no idea. Tickles my soul.
Can you imagine living in Knoxville, Brad? I mean, that would just be, that would be awful.
That would be terrible. I'm sorry. I don't think I could. I did live in Nashville for a while.
Nashville, slightly better.
I did live in Nashville for a while when I got out of school got out of high school for a little while, and it wasn't bad. I mean, Nashville. There are Tennessee fans. Don't get me wrong, but it's such a big city. People like all kinds of different teams, basically. And then of course you got Vandy there, so it wasn't as bad. I can't imagine living in Knoxville. God,
no, I can't either. Jared says, John, I live in Jamestown, Tennessee. I get it. I would rather see anyone win than UT. Absolutely. But we'll do another call for calls here. Maybe a last call for calls here. 502-234-1504. Brock Vandergrift's going to church in the morning. I got to go to church in the morning too, Brad. I got to play trumpet in the morning in church, in fact. So I've got to, I got to get my beauty sleep for trumpet, but you got to get the, got to get the post-game show in, no matter how late, no matter how many delays and lightning strikes and camera angles are going on.
Next week, the game is at 2:30, I think, Central Time.
Well,
I think it's 3:30 Eastern, I think.
Hopefully it'll be at that time and not, a 5-hour delay.
So even if there's a 2-hour delay, it's still going to be, 5:30, 6 o'clock.
It's still going to be all right. But, yeah, anybody else wants to give us a shout, 502-234-1504. We'd love to hear from you. And who's your player of the game tonight, Brad? Who's your guy that's going to be like, you think is going to be the star this year? That's going to be like the big breakthrough guy this year.
Breakthrough?
Yeah. Or maybe not breakthrough, but just like, who's going to be the guy that's just the dude for us that just goes out there and wins this game?
I mean, I think he has all the potential, and that's Berrien Brown, if you ask me. I know Dane Key is right there as well, and so is Macklin. I think both of those are going to be extremely good complementary pieces, but the talent that Berrien Brown has, the speed that he has is unmatched. I mean, he is pretty clearly the fastest guy in college football. Now, Clyde Dion, I mean, if he didn't get double teamed every single play, I would agree with you. But
that opens up, lanes for other people to get to the quarterback.
So I think you're going to see the JJ Weavers and the Pop Johnsons and the you're going to see the Khalil Saunders and the Silvers, and you're going to see those guys be able to make a lot more plays because of Deion Walker.
Hey, J.J. Weaver got to the quarterback tonight too, so he got the
He
big
did.
sack. It was when the camera was in Versailles, so you had to squint to see it. But you
You're
did
exactly
get it.
right.
But,
It was.
hey, for me, if I know you mentioned Barry and Brown and Macklin, for me it is Macklin. I know we didn't get to see a ton of him tonight, but those kind of plays where he gets those contested catches on the go route down the field, like that's gonna be him. And I think we're going to see a lot of that. He's going to be quite a weapon for us making some catches in traffic this year. So,
Clyde, you said Brock's a good quarterback, and you mentioned Brock there a couple of times. Now, I will say this about the play tonight. There was a couple of reads that if we're playing against an SEC team, there was one that clearly is a pick six.
mm-hmm.
There was a read where he dropped back and he just stared down the receiver. He just stared down the receiver and threw it right at the guy, and the guy jumped it, and he just mishandled. He just missed it. And I'm telling you,
that would have been a pick six.
You do that against Georgia or Texas or Tennessee, that's a pick six.
And to me, Brad, that's like game rep things, right? Like that's the thing. He's never had to start before, right? He's got to get some game reps to know not to telegraph those passes.
He did that at least 3 times, maybe 4. And there was a couple of them. There was another one that should have been picked. It wouldn't have been a pick six, but it should have been picked. And they dropped it as well. So
Claude brings up good points. It's the first start, he'll get it fixed. I'm not like it is a problem, but I'm not overly worried about it, Brad, because I feel like he is his field vision, his football IQ is pretty high.
I mean, the rest of the game, he went through his progressions and everything. Yeah. That's the thing. So, when you drop back to pass, you can't just stare at one receiver, so hopefully he'll get that fixed. I mean, even if you're going to pass it to that dude, you got to look somewhere else for just a second and then come back to him. You can't, you know what I mean? Like you can't stare the guy down, so hopefully Bush and Brock will get that fixed. And that's really my only knock on him tonight. I thought there was a few plays that, would have been very costly in an SEC matchup. I mean, let's be honest. Next week, even against South Carolina, that one play I'm talking about is probably a pick six.
Hey,
even against South Carolina.
The Real Fresh channel is telling you, Brad is the man with the fire emoji there. So they're shouting you out there, Brad. There you go.
That's Howie Fresh. He and I kind of team up a little bit on College Sportscast. And this show will actually be on his channel, YouTube channel, the Real Fresh channel, tomorrow. I can't believe he's awake because he's a Canadian, eh? And I don't really have that accent, but I just tried to play it, and I know that was terrible. Fresh was probably laughing. But anyways, his name is Howie Fresh, and he's a Canadian, and the time is like at least 2 hours above me, maybe 3 hours. I'm not sure. So he's up real late. His time.
Well, hey, I can't believe I'm awake either. It's been a long day. It's been a long night, Brad. With the delays and everything else. But
2:37. He says it's 2:37 his time.
2:37. Well, that's late enough for me. But Kentucky gets the win in the third quarter. Suspended play, lightning.
There was 9 minutes and 56 seconds to go, I think, actually in the game in the third quarter. So that's why I said it was basically 2 quarters and 5 minutes.
Something like that. But
yep.
Well, guys, we want to thank you for staying up with us and watching and listening to us. Really appreciate it. We couldn't do this without your all's support and you're all calling in and commenting.
Tell people about us.
And, tell people about us. Yeah.
Follow us on YouTube and also on Facebook. And both of us,
Talking Kentucky
and College Sportscast, you can do both of those. You can help us out by doing that. Follow, subscribe, tell your friends, help get more people on. I know we got a few on here, but the more we can get, the merrier. And, if you've got a bunch of Kentucky fans, and we're going to be doing this each Saturday after the games, so we would appreciate it. The more, the merrier. It'll be that much more fun each week to do these as well. So, Coleman, it's been fun, but I wanted to make sure we got that in there as well. So,
thanks, man. And we'll see you probably earlier than this hour of the night next week for our South Carolina post-game show, and hopefully the Cats will be 2-0. And Brad, you got anything else before we get out of here?
We absolutely should kick them. I mean, honestly, I'm talking about the Gamecocks here. I mean, next week, next Saturday afternoon, honestly, looking at the way they played today, and it being at home and being our first full home game now, I think the crowd and the players should be ready to go, SEC foe, and go in there and absolutely just put it to South Carolina and Shane Beamer. They beat us 2 years in a row. We owe them.
We do owe them. I completely agree.
We need to put it to them next week.
Well, guys, like Brad said, like, subscribe, do all the things, and we hope you have a good night. Everybody go to bed, rest up. We got a game next week. We gotta get ready. So, and be sure you avoid the lightning. You don't want to go out. You don't want to get struck by lightning or anything. So you gotta stay inside. Be sure you get your 30-minute delays and everything, and do all that you need to do. But well, for Coleman Scott and for Brad Harvey, this has been the Talking Kentucky College Sportscast post-game show. And we'll see y'all next week. Go Cats.